Hey bike farmers, I've got a customer bike here in for a tune-up. This is one I sold them a few years back before they started putting disc brakes on all the hybrids. Let's talk about that, or not. I'm a big fan of rim brakes on bikes for regular people. Disc brakes are good if you're going down the side of a mountain, but most people aren't doing that, you know, or at least on a hybrid. I mean, I get it. There's a place for disc brakes, but we don't need them on just general purpose bikes around town. I think the rim brakes are a lot easier to set up, a lot easier to work on, way less finicky. Yeah, just everything's better with rim brakes. So I like to drop a little bit of lube right there behind the bolts. You can kind of give it a wiggle, work it in. That just gets a little bit of lube in that pivot. Keep the rust at bay. Okay, I have a clean rag. Most of the time this is good enough. You know, when we did that first pass, kind of leaves a residue on the frame. This kind of picks up that residue. It almost acts as a polish. But this behold is the magic sauce. It really shines things up. You know, using bikes for the most part is good for them. Overusing them without maintenance is not good for anything. Something felt a little loose, but it wasn't. Okay, now we can get after our cables a little bit, which, okay, so the brake cable we have some access to. Just kind of pulling it away from the lever and getting access and just dropping a couple drops of lube down in there. Just anything with a pivot I'd like to lube. And then I'll can do the same here, and I let gravity be my friend. You know, I'm just avoiding having to completely take the cable out and lube it and put it back in. You know, these have already been lubed once because the bike came from me, and we do that with our builds. So just for good measure, get this one here too, which you can't see, but you know, I'm just kind of letting gravity help me. And then, so the derailleur cable, oh man, yeah, so we gotta replace this housing, which really sucks because it's all, maybe not quite all the way. Yeah, we're gonna replace this housing. So right here, because the hanger was broken and I don't know what was all going down, but it got kinked. And it's just gonna cause us problems. Eventually moisture is gonna get in there, rust the cable. The right thing to do is, you know, fix it. It's gotta be replaced, which is risky, right? So now, the end of the cable's still good. It's the housing that's not. The end of the cable is going to want to fray. I try to get the kinks out of things as much as I can. Hope you can see that. And then, okay, so it's just this little piece here. Take that ferrule. So it's just this much housing. I happen to have some housing here on my bench. So we just measure off a length and cut it. Okay, that's the bad piece. I'm holding on to the good piece. And then I like to take an old spoke that I've ground down into a point, poke a little hole in the, just open up the ends a little bit. It's helpful. And I'm taking the ferrules off the old piece and reusing them. And the ferrules fit through the guides. The frame, I'm going to go over here. And then, because I cared for the end of my cable somewhat here, I think I can get it through clean. I'm going to make that as straight as possible there to, actually I'm going to take that ferrule off too. So I'm just clearing a path. I'm feeling it binding on something. Okay, got it through. So if you start forcing it when you feel it binding, you run a good chance of fraying the cable. So it's binding on something. I didn't get the cleanest cut. So then what I'll do is go to the, I'll take like a 1/4 inch and cut it off. And I have a really nice Hosan cable cutter that I try to respect just to get cables cut real clean. I hate replacing cables if you don't have to. That's just something I've got. I think a lot of people just replace the cables because who cares? It's only a few bucks. But I don't know. You know, if you're going through all this trouble, it probably makes more sense to replace the cable, but I don't know. Oop. Oop. That's an upper Midwestern thing for you. Oop. Oop, sorry. There's something we can talk about. My daughter was saying in volleyball practice that every time somebody said sorry, they had to do 15 push-ups. And I loved hearing that. So many people like, sorry, I'm sorry, but I get customers do it all the time too. It's like, sorry, my bike is in bad shape or whatever. I'm like, why are you apologizing to me? You haven't done anything wrong. You know, I think it's a good thing. I guess you could apologize to your bike. Okay, so that's better. See if I can get a cable tip on that now frayed cable. I think I cut the housing a little bit longer because I just don't have a whole, I know I cut some cable off too, but you know, I added a little length to the housing, so I almost ran out of cable here. But it's enough to function properly. It's all good. Take a look at this rear wheel. So, but the wheel's relatively straight. Needs a little touch up, like most of them do. I mean, that's about it though. Good enough for me. Okay, and we'll do the same to the front wheel. I'm gonna drop a little lube down this front brake cable. This bike's in really good shape for broken hanger and kids abuse. Just feels like it needs more polish. Who doesn't? Right? Pretty good, pretty good. Skewer's a little tight. Skewer's a little loose. Skewer's just right. And I'm looking at this right rear pad is just a little off. And first thing I did is check to make sure my wheel was in straight. Well, I sort of checked. There, that's kind of a double check. Actually, both of them were a little wonky, so we're gonna just make a quick tweak to the brake pad alignment. Very nice. Just shining up the brakes a little bit here. Just kind of wiping as I go. This bike had a film on it of some sort. And it just keeps turning it. It loses its luster as it dries. I don't know what is going on, but okay. Oh, Butterfingers. Same thing up here on the front. That's just a little off tension-wise. You know, the springs will drift over time. Brake pads will wear down, and the springs will drift, and the cables will stretch. And all those things combined is why brakes need tuning periodically. And I know what you're thinking. With disc brakes, you don't have to worry about that. Like the hydraulic ones, they just kind of figure themselves out. I don't think that's totally true. You gotta replace, all you gotta do is replace the pads, but the fact of the matter is that the mounting points are finicky and change over time for some reason. I don't know. And discs like to bend and warp and change over time. Yeah, this left lever is broken. So disc brakes have their problems too. That lever was bent. You know, I mean, this bike has been thrown around and abused and tipped over and run over, who knows. And somehow that rear brake is super, super, super loose. I wonder what happened there. What did I do? What happened? We don't know. Not sure we ever will. That's okay. We'll just make it right. So tighten that cable a little bit. There we go. I just check to make sure that we have equal play in both levers, just so the bike feels balanced. I think that's something someone, you know, a rider, even if you don't really know what's up, would notice right away and be like, what the heck? Why do they feel different? Actually, I had an Ironman athlete come in day before the race talking about how their brake levers, you know, the rear brake didn't feel the same as the front brake all of a sudden. I was like, all of a sudden? I don't believe you. But, you know, they're freaking out the day before the race that something was wrong. And there's nothing wrong. It's just, you know, a real quick tweak. Rim brakes though, so that was good. It was easy. And the fact of the matter is the rear brake has so much more cable and housing that it's going to feel squishier. It's just really hard to get the rear one to feel as snappy as the front. Tightening down the kickstand bolt right now is what I'm fishing around at down here in the nether regions. And while I got the 8mm out, tug on these crank bolts a little bit. They also like to move a tad. So I'm gonna grab my 5mm. Nope. Grab my 4mm. Check my stem bolts. Spin this front wheel, slam on the front brake to check the headset, which was tight. If it's loose a little bit, it'll go brrr, kind of make a brrr kind of noise, a little rattle. I mean, that's it, folks. I guess I haven't checked the shifting yet, have I? Ha! It's not it. It's close. I'll move you over. You can watch it shift. I hit the chain with some one step. It's like a cleaner and degreaser. Brand new hanger, so we know it's not bent. Trying to figure out what's high and what's low here, which I don't really know, but doesn't want to drop into the high gear. Well, that's shifting well. So if I put it in the middle ring, I check the low and then the high. And it's rubbing a little bit in the high, which means that the cable's a little loose. So I'm using the barrel adjuster up by the lever. I just turned it out like a smidge. And that was a little sluggish going down into the low there. So that was a limit screw I just adjusted quick. That's just about perfect, folks. We like it. Wow, sometimes when the tune-ups are this easy, it appears that I'm really not doing anything. But I think I'm doing quite a bit, you know? I mean, we lubed all the cables, we checked the shifting, made some adjustments there, placed a hanger, cleaned and touched up the wheels. Checked some bolts, you know, the important bolts. I'm always polishing as I go. The cockpit has some dust on it here. You know, just kind of make it nice. Grips. Ooh, the grip is spinning around. Maybe I can tighten it. These grips actually have some bolts on them. That's nice. One thing I noticed. I bought a batch of stickers back in the day that the ink wipes right off of them. They stick real well, but the ink sucks. So, just in polishing, it wiped that off, so replace the sticker. And that's it for that bike. All right, bike farmers, that was an easy one. This is one of my bikes that I sold and came back for a tune-up, got it good as new. So actually, mechanically, I believe they're better than new after they've been broken in, ridden, some of the bugs have been worked out. We can replace a part here and there, but loosen everything, clean everything. I mean, it's just, I think they ride better, they feel better, just things have settled. And there's more of an equilibrium and a balance to the whole system. And I like bikes after their first or second tune-ups myself, is when I think they're the best, with a little bit of usage. So thanks again for tuning in. Hopefully you learned a little something. Hopefully you were entertained. If you did learn something, if you were entertained, please hit that subscribe button, notification bell, so you know when the new videos are coming out, and give it a like. All of that helps me as I grow this channel. I'm really hoping that this can be my winter job every year. So if I can get this channel to provide a little bit of income, enough to kind of cover my expenses, that makes my winters here in southern Wisconsin as a bike shop owner go much smoother, because I enjoy doing this and I've got plenty of bikes to fix and love to bring you along on that journey. So thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you next time.